All right, have you ever had an OEM vehicle, something that's all original? It's awesome. Well, I've got a 40-year-old Volvo 244, 1978. It's all original, including the fuel pump, which they don't make anymore. So I bought an aftermarket fuel pump. It's similar to the Bosch 040. It's a little bit different. I'll include the part number in the video. And the problem is the original fuel pump has a 90-degree angle built into it, and the new one has a straight angle. So how do you get it to the fuel accumulator? It took me about a week to find what's called a banjo valve. I'll list the part numbers and where I got it in the description. But anyways, I'm just going to show you a couple cool tricks on getting the fuel pump set up for your old Volvo. All right, so the Volvo is already jacked up. I'm not going to show how to do that. If you're not familiar with jacking up a vehicle on jack stands, don't. This can be dangerous and risk your health. Also, we're dealing with fuel and some tools and stuff like that, so make sure you take the precautions to deal with fuel. And obviously, you don't want to burn yourself up. And so I brought over here, I've got my neat, nifty fire extinguisher just in case, and got my tools all ready. So I'm not going to show taking down the assembly or putting on the assembly. This video is just to demonstrate what I did to get the fuel pump to work with the new fuel pump to work in replacement of the OEM one. Did I mention to disconnect the battery first? I did, didn't I? No, I didn't. Anyways, we're working with fuel in here. I just had a little bit drip out. Not good, highly flammable, bad juju. So since we're working with electrical, we definitely want to make sure the battery is disconnected before you start any fuel-related repairs. Anyways, I just wanted to make sure I got in the video. All right, as you can see here, the original fuel pump has this cool, nifty built-in wiring harness or wiring clip, and here's the original 90-degree that met up with the fuel accumulator over here. So the question is, when I replace it with the brand new one, how do you get the line 4 inches to the right? Well, I'm going to show you what I bought and how I did it. So the fuel pump was recommended, the Bosch, I think it's 040 or 044 is the part that was recommended for this replacement. I found this one from Professional Parts in Sweden that was about half the price of the Bosch, and all the literature I found said it was just as good. So anyways, this is the one I picked out. Do your own research, find your own part. I'll include where I got this one in the description. I also bought this really cool thing. It's called a banjo valve. I found this on a Mercedes page doing pretty much exactly the same thing I'm doing, but not quite. And I can't believe in the entire internet, nobody has demonstrated on how to do this. And so I'm going to put this together real quick and show you how we do it. It's kind of hard holding the camera here. But anyways, fuel pump. Basically, you've got these copper crush washers. You got to put one of those on like that. And then you're going to put on your banjo valve. And then you put on your other crush washer, and then you're going to put on your little doohickey. Now be very, very careful because we're going to need to crush these nice and smooth to get a tight seal, and then we're going to need to figure out just how the angle dangle works in here. Since we have the old wiring harness on the old one, here we're going to have to modify the wires to mount up here. So we got to take that into consideration when we put this on. So anyways, super cool. I bought this little kit for, I think it was like 10 bucks, and I'll put a link to it in the description. Really cool stuff. So it's a little trickier than I expected. We're going to have to figure out how to line this up with the fuel accumulator. I didn't replace the fuel accumulator because it was working and it cost like 130 bucks, so I decided not to get one. I would normally replace everything while I have it out, but we're going to use the original because it was working great. So we're going to try to line these guys up and then mount them after I crush the washers, and then I'll cut my fuel line to fit. All right, I did the initial crush of the washers, although it's really hard to get a good grip on it while you're holding the thing, so I'm going to bolt it into its housing and then put a little bit more pressure on that bolt right there. I ran into my first problem, the little original bolt, the nice cute Swedish brass bolt, wasn't long enough for the new pump, so I had to make one. And I did have to bend the crap out of it for a minute or two. And just because I put some Loctite on there, who knows? It can't hurt. All right, I got the guy mounted. I had to make a decision to get that at 90 degree. I decided to put the power poles vertical, which may not be the best idea. Note the positive is on the bottom. And when I get to my wiring harness, I got to figure out which one's hot and which one's cold. And I'll probably have to make the wires longer Not sure yet, but we'll get there. This is on there. It is not coming off, and just because I'm me, I put some Loctite on the little brass nuts. Good or bad, don't know. All right, that was kind of a pain in the ass, to be quite frank. I tightened up this bolt here after I mounted it here, and I turned it hard enough to turn my fuel pump and actually lift it all the way up here. And then I had to go and loosen the whole thing. Anyways, pain in the butt, but I got it in there. It's nice and straight. I got a nice clean connection. It was a little tricky getting the rubber onto this bigger, the banjo one up here. Anyways, but I got them connected nice and tight. This is the way it came off factory. That's kind of weird to me. I wonder if it presses up against something under the car that I don't know about, or it's just the force of the fuel line that keeps it in place like that. But I'm probably going to strap something on here just because that's who I am. Anyways, we'll get this going and get it mounted up under there. And then next, I guess, is the wiring harness. And then we test it. All right, this went from looking really easy to being a pain in the butt. Anyways, I got everything tightened up. I hope I got those tight enough. It's really hard since I don't have a vise to clamp this guy, to tighten this guy. So we're gonna have to cross our fingers and hope I got it tight enough. I did add a piece of baling wire here. Don't know if that's a good idea or not, but anyways, there's the complete unit. It'll be going in shortly, and I'll show a little bit about the wiring harness. All right, as I showed earlier, this has a really nice little wiring harness on it right here. This is gonna have to come off, and I got to double check. I'm pretty like 90% sure black is ground and yellow is the positive. So, but I'm gonna double check that with the internets of things, and hopefully it'll reach, but I don't know yet. Oops, sorry. Anyways, I'm gonna cut that up. I hate cutting off factory connectors. One of the things I love about this car is it was 100% original. I got it 10 years ago. When we did the first spark plugs, they were Volvo spark plugs. When we did the battery, it was a Volvo battery. When we pulled the fuel pump, it was a Volvo fuel pump. It just goes on and on and on. Anyways, I've had to upgrade the battery and the spark plugs and the oil filter, and you know, I've had it for, about 60,000 miles and 10 years, and I love it. All right, so I cut off that beautiful factory wiring harness, and I wired on. I used a coupler. My wire gauge was a little heavier than the original, but I cut off a little bit. It should work, be fine. And then put these nice little ends on. I got the little rubber gaskets on there that were provided by the kit. Black is going to be the negative, color is positive. It was yellow, now it's blue, and then just so anybody comes from behind, I made sure this one was black as well. And so I propped up my little doohickey. I'm going to mount those wires on the fuel pump, and then mount the fuel pump, and then put the fuel lines on. Woohoo! All right, a couple of lessons learned. One, there was a little part right here that must have fallen off when I was taking it apart that holds this little guy. Nice Swedish engineering. Look at that. Put that back on there. I also found that I couldn't get the damn wires to connect because I had it way too tight. So I decided to start over, put it on the bench, and then do the wires. Now I just bought yellow 14 gauge to get the gauge correct. I put some black tape on here so anybody coming behind me will understand what I did. And then put these little nice boots on there. Getting these boots on underneath the car was all but impossible. Anyways, now that I have some nice little wires, and I'm going to connect them with these little wire butts, I'll get a nice solid connection to the original wiring. I can't believe I struggled with that for an hour trying to get that thing wired up. This took me like less than 5 minutes to get those connected. So I'll tape those up real good, and we'll put her together. All right, well, the thing is running. It took a little while to get it started, and then I realized I didn't have any fuel in it, so I had to put some fuel in there, and it sounds pretty good. It's taken about 10 minutes for it to, I guess, pressurize or something, because it was kind of burpy for a while. But anyways, got it working, and the last hurdle I came into was the original fuel line wasn't big enough for the new fuel pump. So the what do you call it, the nipple, whatever you want to call it, on the new fuel pump was too big for the fuel line. So I boiled some water, and I know you guys, I can hear it from here. I dipped the fuel line in boiling water for about 5 minutes, and then I shoved a ratchet up inserted it into its hole and left it in there for a bit. Then I heated up the ratchet, put it back in there, and guess what? It fit. So Anyways, maybe it was the little bit of moisture in the fuel line that was pissing it off when I first got going. Anyways, only in Idaho. This is Mark. I dedicate this video to James Stewart of revolvo in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I don't know where you are, man, but I think of you every day.